people always want to be the end result. That's all this social media, all this life stuff is the end result. But you don't see the stuff that happens the day to day, the little things. Like y'all made the Rose Bowl. People didn't understand like when y'all weren't good. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's progression to it. You know what I mean? There's always progression to everything. And I've seen the change in the U in 5 years. I've seen the change in BYU in 5 years. Like there's been growth each year. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it just happened. You know what I mean? That's a credit to the work. That's a credit to the coaching staff. It's a credit to everything. So the one thing I try and tell people, especially like between the high school to like our age, is like it don't have to happen tomorrow. Like it doesn't have to just happen.
It's a process.
You know, it's a process to it. And if it doesn't happen, if things go south, and I tell people this all the time, like when I'm going through a shooting stuff, but things aren't going right, that means something big is about to happen.
In a hurry. Crossover, Mitchell into a reach. He came in hot and went up high.
Go for a far deep three. Just get an easy bucket.
What's up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in today. I am Theo Howard, your host, and this is the Game Within the Game podcast. Today we have a really, really special guest. Dude's a baller. I truthfully didn't think we were going to be able to pull this off because both of us have a lot of stuff going on. I leave tomorrow for the Rose Bowl. But Utah fans, Donovan Mitchell, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
Appreciate you.
Like you said, you know, it's all happened fast.
Fast, man. Well, I saw you last week and kind of chopped it up. And
then from there, it just happened. But
for sure.
I'm glad I'm able to be here.
Yes, sir. How's the season going? I know I was at the game the other day against the Wizards, but other than that, I mean, you guys are what, 21-9?
21-9. You know, things are good. You know, we're grooving. Still trying to find our rhythm. Still trying to find things, but we're doing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
After last season, you know, with the tough loss, we're just trying to, you know, shake that, get back on track, and we've been doing a good job of it. Obviously, we lost the San Antonio and Washington, but, you know, things are going good, so
that's good, man.
I keep it going.
That's good, man. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I really do appreciate you coming in. And truthfully, on like behalf of the Utah family, like we really appreciate you just because, like I just said, there's a lot of stuff going on, and especially with Aaron and everything that we dealt with this year, we definitely noticed your support and just coming behind us, truthfully.
100%, man. Anything I can do, man. I understand. Like I told you, shoot, we damn near the same age. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, but it's like, you know, I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, I do play in the NBA, but at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm one of y'all, man. Like, you know, at the end of the day, and I felt that, you know, especially with Ty and Aaron, man. That was tough to even, just as a human, just to see that, you know. So any support I can give, I'm glad.
I appreciate that, man. Well, I'm gonna jump straight into it. So we just talked about it, but you're from New York.
Yeah.
What part of New York?
Westchester County.
Westchester County. Okay. And then you grew up there for a good amount of your life, and then you ended up playing ball in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay. So
kind of Connecticut. I've been all over, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So like Connecticut, went to high school in New Hampshire. For 2 years at Brewster Academy.
Okay.
And then went over to Louisville. So I've been
all over the place.
All over the East Coast.
Okay. So how did you start playing the game of basketball? Was it something that like ever since you were a little kid you were playing, or was it a thing of you played a couple sports but basketball was the one thing that just stuck?
Yeah. I was a baseball player. Like 100%. Like going to the MLB, my dad worked for the Mets. Like I was, you know, strictly baseball, and then, you know, as I got older, you know, I played both.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I just, you know, fell more in love with the game of basketball. What's it called? I broke my wrist my 10th grade year, and, you know, after that, I just loved basketball. I just missed basketball. I missed the energy, loved playing it, and from there, that's when I really started taking basketball, you know, like serious. You know, started locking in on it and, you know, focusing on it. And I can say it's panned out for me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Was there anybody when you were younger who you would watch and you were like, dang, like, this is kind of why I play the game, or why I like to play the game?
It was Michael Jordan for me, because like I said, he did both, so he was able to do that crossover. You know, I had that unrealistic dream of trying to do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you know, he was the one for me. I have all the videos of Michael Jordan's playground on VCR. I still have them to this day. They're somewhere in the storage. Michael Jordan's Playground, the Unstoppable, the Incredibles, whatever it's called, from their 71 or 72 and 10 season. All the videos just from his time in Chicago. And, so for me, that was the guy. That was the guy that really got me into the game and fell in love with the game, and on both ends. And then obviously my dad was really the one that got me into baseball. But as far as basketball, it was him.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Michael Jordan was everybody's idol at the time. I feel like he still is, truthfully. So like you said, you were in New York. You kind of jumped around a little bit. You went to Brewster Academy in New Hampshire, and obviously you started excelling at ball, and you ended up becoming like a 4-star athlete out of high school and getting a whole bunch of offers.
Yeah, so it's crazy because my 10th grade year, I just started taking basketball. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. And it was really, so after that, that summer, there was that gap. And then for me, I went from I had offers to play both sports at certain schools, but that's when it went from like 5 schools to 25 in the summer.
Yeah.
And then Brown and Brewster, they had guys who were already highly touted: Isaac Copeland, Chris McCullough, Devontae Graham, who plays on the Hornets.
Yeah.
And so coaches were coming to see them, and then they ended up seeing me out of that, so then it became like, okay, like, this kick and hoop. So now you're getting to 25 to 30, 35.
Yeah.
And all in 1 year. And it was pretty crazy, how it all just happened for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where it all happened.
Okay. So basically you were going to like different, obviously like AAU camps and circuits like that, and they saw you obviously competing against the best, and they were like, hey, he's got what it takes for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just happened. It literally just happened just like that.
That's dope. So you said like 25 to 30 schools. What was it about Louisville that really stuck out to you that made you want to go there? Was it like Coach Pitino? Was it the culture?
One of it was like, honestly, the availability, like, being able to play
right away.
Being able to play right away. There was no other, like, it's just us. It's just the Louisville, like at that time, it was just Louisville basketball. Like, it's the main thing. There was no NBA team, no NFL team, there still isn't. So I was like, man, you get all this love from the fans. You get all this love from the fans, from the crowd. So as a high schooler, you're like, man, like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, those places, Louisville as a city is great. The people are great. The fans are passionate. And you just feel like the man when you're out there. So I was like, this is perfect. And I get to play right away. And I think that for me was the biggest thing, because my dream school, and I tell everybody this, like, I would have been going to Carolina,
really?
if they had offered me, but I was told I had to wait until Roy Williams saw me. So that didn't happen. I would have went to Carolina, which people I've said before, but like, it's crazy how all things happen, because that was the dream school. That's where Jordan went.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's where it's going to be. And then it ended up being Louisville, and I'm thankful. And Coach Pitino was, one of the best coaches I had, just from a motivator and, as a X's and O's guy. And he was great. But that for me, that was why I ended up going there.
Okay. That's dope. So obviously you went there. I do want to ask, so you were there for 2 years, correct?
2 years.
And then you ended up going to the draft. But when you were there, what would you say is one of like the most memorable things that Coach Pitino like taught you? Or
I would say, I think I tell people this, like, I had a dog inside of me before I got to college, but playing for him, like, he finds a way to get it out of the way completely, to get it there every night, not just like when I'm mad or when I'm frustrated. It's like every night. And he has a way to kind of bring out the best of everybody. He's put all of his players. You look at Peyton Siva, Montrezl Harrell, Russ Smith, Luke Hancock. The list goes on and on. Gorgie Zhang. I can keep going. Terry Rozier. Like, he's finding ways. Guys who are not necessarily ranked high. Yeah. Guys who aren't necessarily like coming out of high school is like the highly touted, and then he produces guys and gets guys to be the best that they can possibly be. So I always say that, I was always a hungry kid, but, when you got there, it was like, there always was something. There was always a button to press to get you to get going every game. And sometimes it was just playing not to mess up, so you don't end up on film and have to run after practice. To be honest, like that's really the truth of the matter. Now you see it with him at Iona. You see all the guys that he's over there with, guys who necessarily aren't the highly touted out of high school, and they just beat somebody. I forgot it was like top 10 or whatever. Okay. So that's one thing I will say is that he has a really good ability to get that out of his players. And jump shooting was another one for me. I shot really flat before my sophomore year, and we spent a whole summer just shooting it with arc, and I went from shooting 25% to 36% in 1 year, just off the strength of working and doing reps. So I would say those two things.
Okay, that's good, man. That's good. So you played 2 years there. Obviously, you did pretty well enough to obviously end up getting drafted in the first round by the Jazz. So when you got drafted, obviously you're very excited and you just want to get straight to ball and get to work for the organization. But when you heard you got drafted by the Jazz or Utah, coming here, did you really know much about Utah or what to expect when you got here?
No, I didn't. But when I tell people this all the time, Utah was my first workout. My first workout, pre-draft workout I did, and the one thing I always said was the people were the nicest I've ever. When I went anywhere, they're the nicest people.
Yes,
exactly. When I went and worked out, when I walked around, it was always, everybody was nice. And if you even go back, I think somebody pulled my interview a week or a month or so ago, and it showed me saying, I remember saying that, it was the nicest experience I had. And and I said it would be, at that time they had a low pick, so I wasn't projected to go in that range, and I was like, man, I would love to be able to play here and be a part of this organization. And so as I'm sitting at the table when Denver drafted me, I was happy, but I wasn't the happiest, because it was like, shit, I want to go to Denver. I had Jamal, they had Malik Beasley, had Will Barton, Gary Harris, and somebody else. And now you got 6 guards that I got to try and play in front of. I was like, man, wasn't meant to be. And then I found out as I was walking off the stage I had gotten traded, and that's when you saw I couldn't really say much, because I was like, all right, I got somewhere that I wanted, and I was excited to be a part of it. And ever since I've been here, the state and everybody's fell in love with me, man, and I appreciate it. Being able to show the love back to people that fall in love with people that as a group, as a team, we've exceeded a lot of expectations. And I think for us, we appreciate it. I appreciate it, and just looking to keep going.
Definitely, man. I think that's what I told my parents, or just anybody who asked me when I first got to Utah. I was like, man, people are really nice out here, because I'm from California, and then I've been in Oklahoma. I wasn't used to that.
Playing in New York City. So
oh yeah. You already know.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a little different. So the fact that people are outgoing and outspoken, I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. So you get to the NBA your first year, and shoot, you jump right into it. But I did want to ask you, obviously you've grown up playing against top tier athletes your whole life on national big stages. But when you got to the NBA, what was the first, or what was the biggest adjustment for you? Was it the pace of the game?
Yeah. I think when you say pace, people tend to think it's either fast or it's either slow. I think the ability to change speeds, I think, is the biggest adjustment, because I came into it as, look, I'm here to average 6 points and crack the rotation. That was, that was my mindset. And, went from that to go score, be the scorer. So I was taken back, and I'm really just learning on the fly, making mistakes, but still learning through them and finding things. So the biggest thing I've learned is the ability to change your pace, to change your speed, to be unpredictable, and I think that's something that's helped me elevate my career. And then the shooting, obviously changes everything. Being able to shoot the 3-ball allows you to get into the paint, allows you to find guys and create seams. But, it's similar to football. If you're a running back and you go on one speed up the hole, it's easy, as opposed to kind of going there, kind of figuring out, seeing where the gaps are, and then attacking or even re-attacking. So I think that was the biggest thing for me to learn, and being able to attack guys, in spots, and especially since I'm not 6'8", 6'9", so being able to find those gaps and get into the paint and do what I do.
Okay, yeah, that is a good point that you brought up. I mean, for receiver, it's when I first got to college, there's a lot of things I didn't learn, and a lot of the vets, just from watching them, they showed me just running routes, like being able to change your speed and be unpredictable, and obviously like not showing DBs any sign of what you're doing. And that definitely helped me improve my game. So obviously your first year and the first couple years, really, was there anybody on the team who took you, who like kind of, when you got there, took you under your wing and was like, hey, like, this is how you do stuff? Or?
Honestly, man, I got to give credit to my entire team, the first 2 years especially. Can't really put it on one person. I can put different characteristics into different people.
Everybody contributed.
You know, Ricky Rubio was next to me in the locker room, talking to me every day.
Yeah.
I probably asked him the most questions while he was here. Joe Ingles. For sure, Joe Ingles. Epe Udo, who I still talk to this day. Even Ronnie Hood. Ronnie Hood was, you know, the guy who's in front of me, and it wasn't supposed to, it wasn't supposed to go the way it went, where I took over and it was my team, and I will say this, so people don't necessarily do that in the NBA or in business or in life. When you have a young kid coming up playing the same exact position, playing your minutes,
gotta take your spot.
To be able to, give you positive advice and give you the keys to success every day. That's a sign of one of a secure human being for sure, but also a great person. So I love Rodney Hood for that to death. I thank him to this day because he didn't have to do that. He could have steered me the wrong way and made sure that it was his, his spot and his stuff. And, he allowed me to grow, and I think that's something that I will always be thankful to him for because, as a young kid, you're coming in, you don't know. I didn't know that was the case. I didn't know that what I had was so,
genuine.
So genuine, because I've heard stories about guys like taking guys out to the club, to keeping them up late. Like there's so many stories where guys are like, come on, Rook, just to put them in a bad path so they can keep providing. Because at the end of the day, this is business. You're eating, you're providing for your family. So for him to do that for me, I appreciate him to the fullest for that. But yeah, pretty much the whole team, man. Rudy Gobert, especially Rudy, just because we've been going through it day by day and figuring this out. Because like I said, we didn't have expectations, and then next thing you know is him and I, trying to go forward and move forward, and we've been doing well and we're looking to grow and get better and better. But those first 2 years, man, like that whole team was just great to be around for me because I came into it just as an innocent kid, just happy to be in the NBA, and then we make the playoffs, so it's like oh shit, like you know what I mean? I didn't mean to curse like that, but it's like, like what do we do? And I got guys like consistently in my ear. You see this? Well, this is what you got to do. Come here, you do that, but also keep it so you don't have too many voices in your head. Yeah, because that can consume you as well. So finding that balance, which is why I'm very appreciative of those guys on the team. Okay,
yeah. So it was a contributed effort from everybody. Out of everybody you have met, not even just on your team in the NBA, would you say is the best piece of advice you've gotten from somebody, whether it's somebody like D Wade or a vet that you've met?
Keep the main thing.
I like that.
It's a common saying throughout the league, but I think that's something that it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to kind of get caught up in doing interviews, commercials, doing all these different things that come with everything that came with me, because everything happened, like I said, everything happened really from junior year of high school to my rookie year. Everything happened like this. Like it was no stopping. Every year my life changed dramatically. It was not, you know what I mean? It wasn't. So for me, it was like just keep my eyes on the prize, which is the game and winning and what I fell in love with, because it can take a toll on you for one. It can be a lot, like I said, to come out, and to be who I was so early. There's expectation behind it. Can he do it again? Can the Jazz do it again? Can they make the playoffs? But on top of that comes the off the court stuff. You got the shoe, you got commercials, you got all these different things. And then, I'm always out in the community, being who I am. That's just who I am. So there's a lot of things that can really deter you from what you came here to do. So being able to stay locked in and stay focused, get your reps up, get your work in, but also enjoy the fruit of your labor of what you've done. I think it's definitely a balance to it, because it's sent guys, out of the league in the wrong way, but it's also propelled guys to elevate in their career. So just keep the main thing and focus on the game you love and keep it joyful, because it can be a lot, when you got, you know, when you're winning and losing, and you got millions of people kind of saying what they feel like you should be doing, and at the end of the day, you got it. That's why I'm grateful for the team and the coaching staff we have, because we're like this, you know, and it can be easy to kind of break apart after 2 losses, after 1 loss, or after a hard loss in the playoffs, you know, like that. They can only imagine that, you know, and everybody's got an opinion on how things should go out externally. So internally, we got to be like this, and I think we do a great job of that, for sure.
Yeah, that's dope. It's always hard for, I mean, especially college and obviously the NFL, or whether it be the NBA. It's hard to kind of wall out all the distractions that's going on, just focus on the game.
Especially in college too, because like in the NBA, at the end of the day, you know,
you're a grown man.
We're grown. We don't have class. Like when we get paid, like, you know what I mean? I mean, y'all get paid now, but like we get paid. You go home, you get a paycheck. You know, in college, it's like you feel, and I felt this way. Shoot, you feel like if you don't do this, you ain't gonna make it. Like if you mess up once, you ain't gonna make it. Like you gotta be able to make mistakes. You gotta be able to understand that like it's growing pains within this. Like I said, I got it. Everything happened for me fast, but there were a lot of growing pains within that, you know. And I think we are in a space today as young kids where it's like everything has to happen like it happens on IG. Like everybody, I use Stephen Curry as the example all the time, because it's like everybody wants to shoot from half court. But people don't get, like, everybody shows that all Instagram show him shooting from half court or not looking. But people don't understand that to start his routine, he's shooting within 2 feet of the basket.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, people always want to be the end result. That's all this social media, all this life stuff is the end result. But you don't see the stuff that happens the day-to-day, the little things. Like, y'all made the Rose Bowl. People didn't understand, like, when y'all weren't good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's progression to it. You know what I mean? There's always progression to everything. And I've seen the change in the U in 5 years. I've seen the change in BYU in 5 years. Like, there's been growth each year. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it just happened. You know what I mean? That's a credit to the work. That's a credit to the coaching staff. It's a credit to everything. So the one thing I try and tell people, especially, like, between the high school to, like, our age, is, like, it don't have to happen tomorrow. Like, it doesn't have to just happen.
It's a process.
You know, it's a process to it. And if it doesn't happen, if things go south, and I tell people this all the time, like, when I'm going through a shooting slump or things aren't going right, that means something big is about to happen. Like, something about to come. You know, like when it was a time this season, I went like 6 of 20, 8-5 of 20. We were barely winning games or losing games. And it's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, something good's got to come in. Boom, we win 8 in a row. Like, eventually. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to always keep that in perspective, because you can really go down a rabbit hole if you allow yourself to, but understanding you just got to keep it steady and continue to, you know, understand it's a process.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. So you get into the league 2017, 2018, and then 2019 comes and you guys go through the regular season. And then 2020 comes and you're still in the regular season, but COVID hits. And they cancel the season. And then they tell you guys in the summertime that you guys are going to be able to play in a bubble in the playoffs. What was your, like, obviously that was a crazy time period for everybody, but like, what was your mindset when they first told you you guys were going to be playing in a bubble? Was it like, oh man, like, hell no.
I'm over here like, man, like, because for me, and I speak on this solely for myself when I say this. Like, for me, that was the first, and like I told you, from junior year and that to now, I've been going. Like, I've been doing the shoot tours, I've been doing everything, playing. Everything's been basketball. That was the first time in my life since I got drafted where I got to sit my butt down and do nothing and process life.
100%.
Like, that was the first time I could sit there and not be Donovan Mitchell, not be who I am, and literally just be on pause. So for me, it really helped me mature in a lot of ways, you know, off the floor. You know, help me grow, help me understand what the hell I'm doing. I mean, this isn't just basketball, this is business. How do I help myself grow? How do I become a better basketball player, better son, better friend, better teammate, better all that? Because what could you do? I couldn't play Xbox all day, which I tried, but it's like, you know, that was the first time for me where I got to really just sit down and just think, you know, about the life that and where everything's taking me.
Yeah. So
when they told us that, I was like, man, like, I'm enjoying this. Like, I'm enjoying this piece because I think about it. After my rookie year, I go to China, I go to Serbia, I go to Greece, come back, play a season next summer, play in the, I go to China, play, and then come back, play USA. In the same summer, go back to China for about 30 days, and then come back. And then the third year, I think the third year was, that was the COVID year. So like I had been going, you know, nonstop, and it really never allowed me to really compartmentalize and really focus on nothing.
Yeah.
You know, just be me. So I was very thankful for that year as a whole, because it really taught me a lot about Donovan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had never really had that in life. So when they told us about the bubble, I was like, no, guys, I don't really know if I want to do this. And on top of that, we didn't know if it was going to be safe.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the NBA did it. First of all, the NBA did a phenomenal job with it, but we didn't know. That's the first pandemic all of us have probably ever been through. So it's like, shoot, how are you going to tell me that we're going to test every day, everything's going to be safe? How are we going to do this? Well, how are we going to do that? It was easy to ask
so many questions.
Just like, yeah, how are we going to do this? Well, there's no way, because we can't do that. And there was an article that came out that said that I projected I didn't want to do it. I was like, there was so many unknowns, you know what I mean, about COVID. And I was like, man, I'd rather speak with my family. And then when we got there, shoot, it was incredible the way the league executed it, like the way, and everybody seemed to follow our approach, but the way they executed was just, you know, every unknown, every question was answered. Yeah. You know, without even an answer. It was like, oh, well, how about this? Well, we got this. What about this? Well, we did this. And credit to Chris Paul and Michelle Roberts and, you know, Adam and everybody, like, you know, to be able to pull that out, because it was great. And we also got a lot of stuff done off the floor wise, with being able to open arenas for voting and being able to, you know, speak out on social injustice and all social and all that stuff. So for us, it was like we got a lot out of it, and I think it was great that we did it during that time, and being able to use our voice as a whole, as one, to be able to vocalize and to be able to play for something. Yeah,
100%. I agree with you. I mean, I can attest to, like, obviously during the bubble, but even before the bubble, just in terms of being able to sit there and figure out. I feel like I was able to figure out what I was good at other than football, and just who I was as a person. And especially, like you just said, with social injustice. I mean, it seemed like that time was so, like, chaotic and so much stuff was going on. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I know I went out and, like, volunteered and contributed in some of, like, the peaceful protests and stuff like that.
It allowed people, like I said, to be able to do that in their home cities. Cities that college students necessarily wouldn't have been in. And that, was it March, April, May, whatever that time was, like, being able to do that, being able to bond through that as a country, as people, be able to see what's going on and putting that on notice. And I'm very happy that, you know, it hasn't died down, because typically those things have typically been like 3 months and then nothing. The next one happens in 3 months. Like, it's been, you know, consistent. You know, it's been consistent, keeping our foot on the pedal, continue to speak up for what's right. And that's really all it is speaking up for what's right and what we as people feel like, you know, is right and wrong. You know, and I think that's something that and we got a long ways to go. Like I said, it's a process. It ain't gonna just happen tomorrow, you know, but as long as and I told my family this, like, you know, being able to go to the bubble and speak out and continue to speak is like, I can tell my kids I stood for something, you know, at the end of the day. Like, yeah, your dad played basketball, you know, he did whatever, but I stood for what was right, you know, and continuing to do that. And I think that really allowed everybody to do it together at the same time, literally from home. Like, you know what I mean? And being able just to do it at one time, I think it really brought us as a country together and really, you know, showed like, yo, like, this is a problem, you know, and we have to continue to take the steps to fix it. And I think our generation has done a great job, because young people necessarily haven't always spoken up, you know, in these instances. And now we're taken to social media, we're taken to things, and sometimes kids are disagreeing with their parents, you know, and I think that's something that never used to happen. You know what I mean? And now it's continuing to build and build, and I think that's what automatically happens with change. That's why I'm big into education, because it's like you're helping groom these kids to be, you know, at the end of the day, where we are and where I say kids, like we're not kids, but like, you know what I mean? It's like we're continuing to build upon that and continue to build excellence. That's what we're trying to build. And I feel like that time really helped with that, at least draw attention to it.
Yeah, those are some really good points, man. So to the bubble, like to the point of the bubble, obviously as athletes and like competitors, we've like I said before, we've been on like national stages before, and we're taught to kind of like drown out the noise and not focus on everything that's going on around us. But when you get into the bubble, what would you say was the biggest? What would you say it was easier, so to say, and it was kind of like just playing in the gym, like, or just practice, just playing with your homies, because you obviously didn't have all those things in there, like fans, the yelling, the screaming.
Yeah, there was no. The pressure was different.
Yeah,
I think we played Washington. You were there. Mm-hmm. What was the first thing everybody does when there's under a minute? What does the crowd do? They stand up.
Yeah.
So you dribbling the basketball with a minute left, and you can visually see 20,000 people standing up at the same time, and you feel the moment. You know what I mean? So when we're playing in the bubble, there's a minute left. It feels like it's the first quarter. You know what I mean? Like you don't have until obviously you're in the game and you know it's the fourth, but like the outside stuff is just not the same. It was definitely different, and I don't want to. I'm not discrediting nothing that happened in there because, obviously the Lakers won, and I did some things. Jamal did some things. Denver came back twice. Like, I'm not discrediting none of that at all. But it was different. The pressure, the vibe, the energy is different because after a timeout, like if we just stopped talking, like that's what it would sound like.
Silent.
You know what I mean? And it's a TNT game 3. And it's dead quiet. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how the finals was because they have family come in as the playoffs went, so I wasn't there for that. But, it was different. It was different, and it just felt like you were just hooping, and I had just gotten into a zone. Like, it was just like, you're just out there. Yeah. Same arena, same basketball, and it's funny, and I've never told nobody this. So the arena we lost in to Game 7 was the same one we lost in when I was in 5th or 8th grade, one of those games. So I lost AU National Championship game in the same gym. In the same gym. And I was like, damn, like I'm never playing in there again. That ain't the gym for me.
Yeah.
But like, it's crazy because a lot of us have played in that gym. Empty crowd, probably nobody in there. So it really brought us back to like all of us full circle, like being able. I played with Eric, who's my teammate. We played there, and to be able to play there, but it's a different vibe. It was quiet. I hadn't played in the gym that quiet in a long time, and to be able to. It helped, it was like, like, all right, like, you miss a shot, you don't feel it, you don't feel it as much,
I feel that.
You still feel it because it's the game of basketball, but like, you don't feel it the same as if everybody around you screaming.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely understand that. So these are kind of a couple questions I want to end off with that I just wanted to ask you. So is there somebody in the league right now that every time, like, you get to go against them or compete against them, like, all right, like, it's on, for sure? Or is that just everybody else?
I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's everybody, because it went from earlier where it went from I used to look up to you to now, like, you're the enemy. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's everybody, but I think people talk about speaking of the bubble, me and Jamal in the bubble, people don't understand, him and I have been going at it since college. Mm-hmm. And that's my dog. We cool and all, but, like, it was just like one of those things where we had been doing it before we made it public, because no one really watched us or Denver play against each other. No one really. Now they do because of the bubble.
Yeah, that's right.
Like before, no one really watched. So Jamal and I, he'd go at me, I'd go at him. Like, it would just take turns. So the bubble was just basically reliving everything that we had done years prior. And, so he's a guy that we continuously have our battles, and it's all love. Like, it's never anything personal. It's just like out there, it's like, it's time. It's time to go. Yeah. So he's always one for sure. Any of the guys that I'm cool with, JT from Boston, Bam. Yeah. Trying to think who else. Joel in Philly. Trae Young, like, it's just all the guys, and then you obviously got Bron, you got you got Steph, like, so it's really honestly everybody, but more so the guys I'm friends with. Yeah, that it's like, okay, like, because when the summertime when I see you, I gotta let you know, like, yo,
100%,
you, or vice versa. Like, this year we lost to Miami twice. I'm pretty sure when I see Bam Miami, that's
Gotta hear from
all summer. Like that,
Uh-huh.
that swept us. You know what I mean? So I think it keeps like I said, keep that joy. Like it keeps that joy because that's what's fun about the game is being able to do that and play. And like I said, you know, you could be friends with the court, but when it's time, it's time.
It's time to go. 100%. So obviously you travel and stuff and you got away games. I didn't want to know because I have my own things that I bring with me, but are there like 3 to 5 like essentials that you got to have like on the road with you that you travel with?
Frank in here. Frank, you already know. I bring a whole monitor and my Xbox every trip.
Like that. I like
every
that.
trip. Man, like as soon as we hit the hotel room, like it takes me about 5 minutes to hook up and I'm on the game.
What you playing?
Call of Duty.
Okay, yeah.
And then MLB The Show.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's a good game. I've never...
It is.
It is?
It is. I used to play that all the time as a kid. They stopped making it for the Xbox, and now they're back to making it. And I'm in my 3rd season on my road to the show. I've already won a championship, MVP, broke the home run record. Like, I've done it all. I'm still and it's crazy because everything I'm doing in the game, I'll speak to the game because I've been meaning to say this for a while. Like, the fact that Ohtani has done what he's done in real life on the Angels is literally what I do it in the video game. And it's hard, like, to do a video game. My man is doing it whole in real life. Like, that, I got to give him credit. I don't think people give him enough credit for understanding, for him to be a top-notch hitter. What, he got 50 home runs this year? And then have a 2-point-something ERA. Like, I'm struggling to keep mine under 3 in a video game. You know what I mean? So, like, people need to understand, like, that is hard to do. I didn't mean to get sidetracked, but I've been thinking about that for a while. Man, this shit is tough.
I see.
But nah, the Xbox, the monitor.
You got like a speaker that you gotta have?
No, I used to, and I used to get too many noise complaints, so I stopped. I stopped bringing the speaker. Man, what did I say? Am I missing something, Frank? What am I missing, man? The monitor. It used to be candy every trip, but I can't do it every trip. I get fat too quick. Man, I'd probably say the Normatec. You know Normatec?
Normatec, yeah.
Yeah, I use those every flight. You know, I don't go anywhere without those. Or I could say I cold tub every night. So, like, I'm the one that annoys every hotel and brings up the whole pan, the roller thing of ice, and you fill your tub with it and do that every night. So, I would say probably that.
I see. Sure. I don't know about MLB. I mean, I'll try it out for sure. But in terms of Call of Duty, I definitely need to get your gamer tag for sure.
Oh,
so we can get on that.
I'm actually, once we're done, I'm about to go right to it. We were just talking about it today.
I'm literally about to be on that too.
So
all right.
That's all I play, man.
For sure.
That's all we play.
Okay. In terms of, I listen to a variety of music before the game. Like, I listen to everything. What have you been on lately? Like, Lil Baby, Dirk, anybody?
So every game, you know, I listen to the song "I'm Me" by Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just one day in the car, you know how sometimes like you ain't heard a song, you have no recollection of why the song pops up in your head, but you just start singing the lyrics to it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it happened earlier this year, and I just said, you know what? I just made it a thing. So now I'm still listening to it every day. 7 a.m. on Brittle Path by Drake. I don't know why that to me is just one of his best songs on the album.
I've been on that lately too.
I like the Drake album. I think people have their own opinions about it. I think it's dope. But pretty much on game days, it's pretty much those two, and then whatever I'm feeling. I listen to gospel pretty much every morning.
Really?
Every morning, Yolanda Adams, Kirk Franklin, Donnie McKirk, whoever, maybe Marvin Sapp, like whatever it is.
Have you always been into that, or is that something like your parents would listen to?
Yeah,
and it's
got it strictly from mom and dad. And you know how like some things you're like, no, I'm never doing that when I get older. And then next thing you know, I'm every morning I'm in there, boom, boom, like listening to it, like singing it too, religiously. And you know, that's like me going to church because it's tough to kind of go to church. That's like me going to church, thanking God and praying. I pray pretty much for every game, but like that right there is like me kind of going back to my childhood and bringing me back to church and just thanking God for everything that I have. Then R&B is something I try not to on game days because it kind of takes me out of the mindset.
But the mindset, yeah.
You can't really get away from it, to be honest with me.
Yeah, I understand that too. I listen to a lot of R&B. But I kind of feel you, like it takes you out of that, especially for football.
Yeah.
Because you got to go out and hit people. So like R&B takes me out of that mode for sure.
Can't be singing music soul child.
Yeah. 100%. Since you've been in Salt Lake City, what would you say is your favorite thing just about the area? Is it like what we talked about, just like the people here and the fans, or is it?
Yeah, the fan, it really gives you a college vibe. Like, I tell people, like, the way I felt at Louisville is like here, but like times 10.
Really?
You know, because it's like the love you get, everybody's at your games, every game is sold out. Like, you know, it's just the whole vibe, you know, in itself of basketball culture that you just like, you know, and it goes back to John and Carl, you know, and that's really where it stemmed from. And, you know, for us, it's like, you know, it doesn't matter who we play, it doesn't matter. And that was how it was at Louisville. We could have played so-and-so Tech from wherever, and, you know, the game was sold out, you know, and I think that for me is like one of the things that really allowed me to relate, because I'm like, man, I just left this. Like, this is all familiar to me. Like, this is what I just left. Like, and now I'm here, and then the culture of the basketball culture is just, you know, phenomenal here. The love, like I said, and then one thing I can't get away from, man, is just the mountains. I've been saying this since I got here. Like, the view is crazy. Like, even coming here, like, I don't know if it's fog or smog or whatever, but even like the way it looks with the snow, like it looks crazy. Like I don't get that. I never got that growing up. You know what I mean? So it takes me. I got to be locked in when I'm driving, because sometimes I'm just like
getting distracted.
Man, like this is dope. You know what I mean? And I think experiencing that, honestly, another thing is going to these games, man. Like y'all games, BYU, high school games, like that to me is the coolest thing, because I never got to really be able to do that. You know, because I never got to sit courtside at a basketball game. You know, if you really think about it, when am I going to ever sit courtside at a basketball game? So it's like, you know, being able to do that, being able to be, and I takes me back to what I said about the bubble when we had that quarantine, was like being able to be me and do what I enjoy doing. You know, how, like being able to spread love, being able to show positivity, like just being my presence, you know, because at the end of the day, when I was in high school, I was in college, if I saw myself at a game, I'd be like, oh shoot, like, you know. And I remember we went to, where did we go? Timothy High School, and they played Wasatch, and the level of basketball from both teams just went from here to here when Royce and I came. Yeah. You know, just because we walked in and you could sense it, you could feel it. And that to me was cool, because one, those kids never know who's in the gym. You know what I mean? You never know who's watching. You never know what a kid is going through that whole day. And that could be his escape. That could be his whatever. And he's going 10 times harder because we walk in. You know, that could change his life. That could change his mood, change his day. And also just make their day, make their week, make their year. And that to me, I think is the coolest thing to me, because like I said, you never ever know what someone's going through. You never know what someone's playing in front of. You never know like what that may. So being able to do that and have the game of basketball or sports in general be able to be that, you know, for people, I think is the coolest thing to me, because I always wanted that. You know, now that I'm in a place where everything, well, not everything, but everything is typically 25 minutes away. Like it's easy for me, you know, and I would continue to go. If it wasn't for these cases being so damn high, like I'd be at all these games for sure. But it's just like, man, like, I think that for me, being able to do that, I think I would say I put that at the top of my list, just because it's fun. Like I genuinely have a good time. It's not like I'm just out here just to be out here. Like I enjoy watching it, because I understand, I see the faces, because that's what I wanted in high school. You know, not necessarily, I didn't necessarily get that from basketball. I got it through baseball, because I met all these different people and whatnot, but I know what that does. I know what that does for a student. I know what that does for a student athlete. And, you know, just being able to do that, you know, it's ultimately why I came here, because because I just saw you just being genuine, asking me a serious question. You're like, man, like, you know, would you do this? You know, and I'm saying, like, I think being able just to help inspire and help grow, I think that's what our jobs as professionals, athletes, you know, it's not necessarily our job, but it's something that, you know, we don't understand the power we have, you know, being able just to uplift someone, you know, uplift a kid who's a senior in high school, you know, and this could be a scary time, you know what I mean? Straight up, like it could be a scary time for people, and you never know what's next in your career. You know, you seem to be professional in what you're doing. So me being able to come here and show my love and show support, something that I think more athletes and more people should continue to do, because you never know. Like you never, ever, ever know what that moment can do, what that person's going through and how that can change the trajectory of everything. So that's one thing I will say. And Salt Lake has allowed me to do that and hasn't like bombarded me. Like, you know, I think it made it annoying, you know, because that can happen too, where everybody's like, oh, like they gave me my space to do that and do that, and I appreciate that.
That's good. That's good.
For a long answer.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I mean, since I've gotten here, I don't know. It's just like you said, there's so much love and support, and even with this, like when I tweeted that out like 2 weeks ago. I mean, there were so many fans, like Utah fans, just like tweeting at you, and then we're on the way to a movie. And like, one of the guys like on our team was just like, hey, like I know so and so who works over there, and like he went to Utah, and that just happened so fast, and it just kind of shows how like it's kind of like a family. Just everybody is cool with each other. Everybody is real genuine out here.
Always.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part. Is keeping it genuine and keeping it, you know, like we said, within the family, because you know that doesn't always happen. I think that's like I said, it's crazy that this happened because, you know, we're in such I wouldn't say small, but a small area community where it's like boom, like it's like right there, you know, and it just happened, and I'm grateful it happened because this is dope. This has been great, you know, and I want to continue to do things like this, man. And I know, like you want to continue doing things like this yourself, but for how it happened and just continuing just to spread love and positivity, man, like that's awesome.
100%, man. Well, I do gotta ask you, since I ended off with how we met in the movie theater, what are you giving the new Spider-Man movie out of 10? Because I have my opinions, but I've heard with 12,
13,
okay.
14, 15.
It was that good?
Yes.
I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, I give it an 8.
It wasn't the best one that came out?
It is the best one that came out.
So how's it an 8?
I don't know. I'm a fan of the old Spider-Man. I'm really a fan of the old Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire. That's my guy.
It's crazy because, so I did the commercial with Tom 4 years ago. And first of all, he's young. I think we're the same age. He's small as hell, but he's the funniest dude ever. Like, he's a cool dude. And ever since then, that's when I did the commercial. I rewatched all of them and caught up. And, you know, I used to have, you know, an entire crush on Zendaya back in the they're together now, so that's
beside it.
But, you know, like that for me, just seeing kids my age be like that and seeing the process that went into the commercial, I'm like, sheesh, y'all do this for a whole movie? Like, yeah. Commercial was like 30 seconds, and they had to be perfect. Like Jake Gyllenhaal, like they were like, nah, we gotta do it this way, and I'm like, shoot, like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not used to that. And they put the time in. So I can only imagine what this last movie took, you know, for him to be great, you know. And I love the fact that, I was about to spoil it. I'll leave that alone. But I love the fact that things happen the way they happen in the movie. Like, you know, when people, you know, showed up and all that. I think that was cool. And the cast is a great group. You know, like the whole cast, everybody's just so dope, man. Like they're dope individuals, dope people, and to make a great movie, like that's a lot of work and effort. But I'm giving it a 12, okay. 15, 20, 25. So I feel like it could be in the next one.
Hey, that would be dope. That would be dope for sure. I mean, I can't spoil anything, but I will say there are definitely old faces in that movie. Yeah. Definitely old faces. So if you haven't seen it already, definitely go see it.
Some people cried, I heard. Some people were talking about they cried because they saw it.
Because it was that good?
It was because they saw the old faces. So I'm like, same thing, make you laugh, make you cry, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
I see. Well, that's the most of my questions I have for you today, man. But I definitely do want to thank you for coming by and just taking the time, because I know, you guys got a game tomorrow, and just everybody in Salt Lake who kind of helped just get this rolling, but obviously most importantly you. But there's a lot of people when I tweeted that out who were trying to get him in contact with me. So this has definitely been pretty big, and I appreciate you coming by today, man.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, man.
100%.
Good luck to y'all too, man. I know it's a few days, and we'll be watching.
All right.
I got my money on y'all, so Mike, when you see this, because you're playing Ohio State, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I got my money on y'all. I don't know if I can actually tell you that, but for the camera, I got my money on Utah. So,
all right.
Yeah, so
all right.
do y'all thing.
For sure. We got you, man. That's the end of the podcast. I got a couple more episodes coming, but thank you guys for tuning in. And that's it.